I'm Greg Watkins, Executive Director of the British Chamber of Commerce, Thailand. Today it's my great pleasure to welcome the BCCT Chair, Gareth Davies. Gareth, what's it like being the youngest ever BCCT Chair?
I don't really feel like I'm the youngest. I don't think I'll be the youngest ever. It's good fun so far. I mean, what has it been, 3 months now, 4 months? It's definitely been interesting. I've learned a lot. I think, as we all know, I come from a startup background, right? So I'm learning a lot of formalities, meeting a lot of people. I'm learning how to tie a tie. No, it's good. It's been really good fun. I think that the board we have at the moment is very, very good. And having been on the board on and off for 4 or 5 years, it's definitely very dynamic. It's exciting, and I'm really enjoying it. It's good. It's fun.
Tell us a little bit about your corporate background and what led you to become involved in the Chamber.
So I joined the Chamber when I first set up a company here 7 years ago. So I moved from London to Bangkok. I had a company formerly. I've been in Thailand for 30-something years. Dad's been here, my uncle's been here, so I've been in and out for a long, long time, as you know. I moved here full-time in 2015. I set up a company, and it was actually my uncle who suggested I join the Chamber. He said, it had a lot of credibility to the company and what you do. I joined the Chamber then. I went to a few events. It was actually the same time as Amy joined, I went to networking events. I think the first one I can remember was at the Grand Hyatt in the downstairs venue they have there, the campus or something like that?
Yes.
That's right. And I was really nervous because they had all new members come up and stand on stage. And I think it was Chris Thatcher that introduced me. I did that. I went to a few events. I kind of joined the technology group, which I think was probably your suggestion. Yeah. And then chaired that for a bit. And I think probably you who said join the board or run for it. I can't remember which. And got in on my first attempt 5 and a bit years ago. Did 4 years with you and saw, a change in chairs over time. So I started with Chris and then Andrew and then another Chris. Had my year off and then couldn't wait to come back.
Tell us a little bit about your corporate life, what you do when you're not working for the Chamber.
When I'm not working in the Chamber, I sleep. I run a technology company. DDX, we are a smart cities and automotive consulting company, so always technology. I went to university and studied maths, and I was kicked out. So, don't have an academic background, so to speak. I got a phone call the day after I was kicked out saying, "Can you build a website?" And I went, "Sure." And I sort of spoke to some friends who do this for a living, and they said, "It's all right, you study maths, you'll be fine." So freelanced for a year or so. Actually worked for a company called Tunebreaker, which was an online battle of the bands, and it was kind of, can you code this? Absolutely, sure. So I did that for a year, and then I did a few other freelance bits of work, and I went to work for a company in London doing ad tech. They were great. I worked for them for a couple of years as a lead developer, and then I went to go and work in the corporate world of online banking and financial trading. I did 6 months there before I realised that corporate life was perhaps not for me, and then set up my former company. So then I went to go and work as a freelancer and contractor for a bit. Did that for quite a while and was working in the tech space. It was really, really good. But again, it wasn't very corporate. It was very much a sort of startup and consulting role. Mm-hmm. As I said earlier, moved here 8 years ago with that company, and it was great. Did 6 years with them. But again, it's tech consulting, strategy, software development and so on within the enterprise space. So whilst I was never an enterprise, the customers always were. Left 2 years ago to do DDX. And it's been good. It's been a good start. I have to thank everything that happened in the past, and it was a great setup, but really, really pleased with where I am now. But not corporate. Always in and out of startups, always in and out of the tech world. And I've enjoyed it. It's a very different realm to the corporate world. It's very exciting. It's very agile and sort of nimble. Things change very, very quickly. But also, it's that background that's given me everything I've got now, and perhaps a slightly different approach to chair than the former chairs,
Sure.
Is also can be a, well, I wouldn't say a hindrance, but it's also I don't know, but like a leveler, right? Because
Sure.
I don't have the governance background that Chris did or the former chairs, so it's, I don't think I would do anything differently if I were to go back, but a corporate background I don't have. But it's always tech startups, and that's what excites me.
Cool. I mean, you haven't got that far to go back. I mean, it's quite an eclectic journey so far, quite a short journey. But tell us some of the unique perspectives you bring to the chamber. I mean, you're active in tech. You're a young professional. How does your experience increase the vitality of the chamber?
Yeah, no, I think it's different, right? The world has changed quite a lot, and I think that everyone does a really good job of keeping up with it. But tech, if a company is not a software company, they kind of fallen behind now. Now, I mean that is in everyone has to rely on technology. It is not the be-all, end-all, but every company has had to move on. And so I think that coming from a tech background, which over the past 10 years has become extremely liberal. It's very casual. It's very, it kind of brought the duvet days and things to the workplace. It brought snacks. It's a very, very different lifestyle at someone like a Google to a McKinsey. And I think, that is important. And I think having perhaps that contrast with the corporate members we have on the board is really, really good. So I think it's that younger, slightly different approach to how we do business. And I'm not saying it's not different in a sort of radically different way. It's just a fresher, younger viewpoint. Mm-hmm. But I don't think I add anything particularly unique. It's just another generation. Mm-hmm. And if we look at the board over the past 5 or 6 years, it's got younger with each vote or each election, and I think that our membership is getting younger. We're having more and more tech companies join, which is great. So yeah, I think I'm not sort of a particularly unique perspective, or I'm not adding anything that no one else can. But it's definitely a sort of change of the generation with the board, and with that, it's becoming exciting and dynamic, and it's good because it keeps everyone else on their toes.
Sure. I mean, the Chamber's exited COVID in a very strong position. The last 2 to 3 years, we've worked hard to activate our existing working groups and to set up new working groups. And we now have 22, 18 are sectors and 4 are geographical. And then that leads into what your priorities are as chair in terms of engagement with members.
Yeah, I think, I obviously wasn't on the board last year, but I think I was for the first year of COVID. The chamber is in a really, really good place right now. I think it's the best place it's been since I've been involved for 7 or 8 years. 22 working groups is a lot, right? When we talk to our peers, some of them have 1 or 2 or fewer. So 22 active working groups is just, it's a lot. But it's also, I think that's the powerhouse of the chamber, right? That's what's made us successful. It's coming out of COVID. We've had tech, marketing, property, we've got the new design group, we've got net zero. There's a lot of very in vogue topics, I suppose, at the moment. And that's, the events that we run, how many events is it? 100 a year?
Over 100, yeah.
Over 100 a year. Yeah, how many of those are working groups?
More and more, about a third now.
About a third. So that kind of goes to show what the working groups are doing. And yeah, as you said, my objectives as chair were to engage with the members. Not to say that other people haven't, but I think it's just that's what I'm good at in my role. So having more working groups, having events, having more working groups in general, I think it's really, really good. That's what people see from us, isn't it? It's the white papers that legal and tax can write. It's the white papers that net zero share, sustainability, tech, design. I can't think of all the groups we've got right now, but yeah, I think we couldn't be in a better place.
Would you like to say a few words about the board of directors and how they contribute to the work of the chamber?
Sure. I think the board is definitely a governance role, and we just keep you in line, really, I think. But now we've got a very, very good board. I guess we always have done, but at the moment it's particularly dynamic. I think board meetings there's a lot of engagement going on. There's a lot of people doing stuff outside of board meetings. there's just I guess a really good group of interesting and extremely knowledgeable people from all backgrounds. We've got a great mix of Brits and Thais, which is good because we Brits abroad, we always have the right perspective, and I think it's good to be kept in check there. I think someone like myself from an SME and a startup background, having the big corporates there to kind of go, no, Gareth, that's not how we do it, is really good. You've been involved for how many years?
Oh, a long time, about 25, 26 years.
So
I was in your position 25, 26 years ago as the youngster in the group.
Exactly. So I think you've seen things change over time, and there's a lot happening. There's a lot of interest. People are not turning up and sort of just putting their hands up to propose and second stuff. There's active engagement. There's active interest. There's people sending emails at all times of the day asking what's happening. How can we do this? How can we help? And so I think the board has been really good in pushing us to do working groups and pushing the chamber to do more events, but events that matter, right? I think, whilst we have over 100 events, we now have a much greater percentage of events that are good, I think. And again, not to say that we had bad events in the past, but I think generally speaking now, that with the change of connecting or change to connecting events, there's a lot more business focus on everything we're doing, and that's because of the board and the thing that change over time. So yeah, again, not been involved for forever, but I'm very excited with where the board is right now, and I think we have an excellent board that are doing a really, really good job.
Cool. So we have 18 months more of Gareth Davies as chair. What can members expect?
I think more of the same. I'm not doing anything particularly new or exciting. It's building on the stability that we had over the past couple of years and the previous board and chair. So, I think when I joined, I said, or rejoined and was elected chair, I said that for me the goals were working groups, engagement with members, and technology. And I think right now we've definitely got more events that are engaging members. We have new types of events. Building on again all of the strong work that's done in the past, we have a lot more business-focused events. We've got new tech companies that are joining, which is great. Actually, membership's growing quite a lot, right? It's doing really good right now, which I suppose is off the back of COVID. But we have, I think, a pretty engaged group of members right now. They're willing to put their hands up and go, I like this, I don't like this, more of this, less of that. And that's what we want. We're there to serve the members, and sort of, I guess, ultimately that's what we do. So yeah, over the next 18 months, I think let's focus on more business events. Let's have a couple of social events outside of networking. So whether it's wine tasting or anything cultural, whatever we can do, I think bring back site visits. That would be really good. Yeah. So again, no silver bullet, just more of building on what we've done in the past.
Okay. Before we close, the audience for this interview will obviously be members, but also potential members. Do you have a single message for both or either of those groups?
Benefits for members. Look, there's a lot going on right now. There's an awful lot to learn. We have working group events every week now. There's the chance to get involved and learn something. There's a chance for your team to get involved, and young professionals to be the next board members. You asked. You said, "What's it like to be the youngest chair?" That's great in 2023. I won't be in 3 or 4 years' time. I'm sure. I'm sure that Boat will definitely take that crown from me. There's just a lot going on. It's very exciting. It's a very agile and dynamic chamber to be in right now. There's a lot of really good people to meet. There's a lot of really good events to attend. There's chances to set up working groups, to run events, to get your business and brand out there. I think better now than ever is the time to join, because it's never been in a good a place as it is now.
Fantastic. Thank you, Gareth.
Thank you, Greg.